Going on YouTube, we're here with Mark Carrillo. What you playing?
Generator.
There you go.
Alright, get right into it. So Generator is the love child that our one true king of all calamities died for many years ago. Didn't get his chance to rise in here, but whatever.
Yo, shut your once upon a time ass. No, I'm joking.
You ain't wrong. So we'll start off with Lofter, the best card in this whole deck. So during your opponent's turn, all your generators gain 1,000 attack.
Nice.
His main effect is quick effect, tribute himself for cost. Special summon a generator from your deck. That's it.
Ah, so that card right over there, Lone Fire.
Any
Gotcha.
other cards. Yeah. And then we'll start off with a new card, Bala. So this card just came out. This card says, when it's in your hand or grave, pitch any generator card out of your hand to summon her. Then her other effect is, on special any generator from your graveyard.
Damn boy, that's kind of broken.
It's really good. It pulls any of your dead cards out of your hand. Drawing, this is the only level 9 you want to draw with any other generator card. Drawing any of the other bosses, it's not the best time unless you open up this specifically.
Can't you also pitch Generator
can
Boss Stage?
You can also pitch the field spell and recur it later with one of the other traps that we'll get to later. Now, outside of Vala, she's the only one who played 3. The rest are all 1-ofs. You don't want to open these cards because they suck drawing them. You have what used to be the best one, Mardell. She's your searcher on summon. As cool as that is nowadays, it's too easy to get to any and all your cards, so you only want to play 1. They recur really well because of Vala can bring her back and just keep triggering her effect as you play through the game. And she's a light, so that's arguably makes her bad, just right now with Bestials running around. So yeah. And then we're playing arguably the best himself, Heart. This man is a negate by attributing 2 generators, and also when a card is added to your opponent's hand outside of their draw phase, you just get to rip a monster out of their hand.
So it's just Starclaw but better?
Pretty much, yeah.
Except for minusing the one-side macro, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, and he's also a 3K. 3K body is a big deal. Big monster, go burr. Next are the lesser of the ones that don't matter. You got Needhog. He's just, by attributing 2, he's negates inherent special summons. So if you activate a card, he's like Solemn Warning at home.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Then you got, I don't even know this guy's name. He's terrible in every possible right. He's not that good. But the only instance it comes in, if you have, as long as you can get to boss stage, you summon this. If you have generators locked in your hand, tribute your tokens just to summon the generators out of hand.
So it just kind of unbricks you?
It's kind of, but he's not really that good. He does the worst one, arguably. The second best one is Utgard. Tribute 2 of your tokens, target one of your opponent's cards, banish it. That's pretty good. Broken. And he's got a really solid stat line, so all the generator bosses are really good just for her being big monsters. And then you got Hela. She's tribute 1, special generator from grave. She can tribute herself to grab any of the other ones, which is pretty good. That's it for the generators themselves. Next, we're on to engines. We played 3 Herald of the Diviner. This card is just inherently good. I play a spicy card on my list just to kind of make better use of this card. We'll get to it. I don't need to explain her.
Spicy means he was wrong.
Next, we play this card.
Trey's Hierarchia.
It's here. It can potentially pot a greed for you, but it's kind of hard to do that. It can also summon itself from its hand or grave for its effect. I have yet to do that. Moving on to hand traps. You play the 1 because you can search it. 3 Baylor because you can. Playing 2 Nib because moving forward, if Sprite sees a little bit less play, this card becomes much better, especially since big heavy combo decks. It just does more for you. And then I'm playing 2 of the new Bestial just because it is also a pseudo warning, so it's pretty good. That's it for the hand traps itself. And then my 1 personal tech in the deck for the last monster, Guardian Jones. So you send this off to Diviner to make Diviner a level 9. It's pretty funny. It's the only card that is a literal brick anywhere, but that's funny.
Just to give a backstory, marijuana was legalized in Kansas City, Missouri as of last week.
So Mark, if you draw, how do you feel?
You cry. Is that the literal brick? You can.
He ran into
Rivers of blood. Moving on to the spells, we have one of the most absurd field spells on all of Yu-Gi-Oh! Boss Stage. This card says when your opponent draws a card, including for their draw phase, special a generator from your deck, and then if it's your opponent's turn, special summon tokens until your field is maxed out. Pretty goddamn good. So you only get the tokens during your opponent's turn, but during your turn, if your opponent has cards added to their hand, you get a free special out of the deck. So that's something that could be awkward, that people probably wouldn't forget. They think it's all linked to one effect. It's not. So you can trigger this with your other cards to get them to draw cards or add cards, and then you just get a free monster.
You could also play 1 for 1.
You also could play 1 for 1, but it's not necessary.
Not 1 for 1, 1 day apiece.
1 day apiece, there you go.
Yeah.
And then another reason this deck is just absolutely absurd monstrosity. This card says 2 effects. Special of level 9 from your hand, so it can pull any of your dead generators and put them on board and start getting it going. Second, you can target one of your level 9s. Special summon 2 more level 9s from the deck with different types or attributes, which is why the diviner comes up. Send her, make her level 9, then you can summon 2 more generators and you can just go from there. Card is insane, and it also does have it's a World Legacy card, so there is a small interaction in the extra deck.
Neat.
Yep. You only care about a handful of cards in your extra deck, so you play extra. This is your draw card. Obviously, moving forward, KcCard makes this card a lot harder to play, but this deck kind of needs to have it because this deck can brick pretty hard. But when it doesn't, it can still put up a pretty nasty board.
Yeah.
I'm going to move on to one-ofs. Play the 1 generator quest. You reveal a generator in your hand, add 2 generator spell traps to your hand, and then put that generator back to the bottom of your deck. So it can kind of take a dead boss, get you spells. And it can search a field spell.
Yeah.
And that's what your main bit. You only want to play 1 because you search it off Mardell, but you play enough ways to get the field spell, it doesn't matter. Fair for me?
Yep.
Me personally, I don't like back rows, so I will play 2 copies of this. Honestly, you can get away with playing Twin Twisters as well. It's still equally as good. And then my final personal spell tech, just because I feel like I can. Kaijukiri Curse. You just pitch a level 9. It's basically, and then draw 2. It's basically Sacred Sword for 9s.
I haven't seen this card in like a while.
It's bad, and it only works in this deck. It's funny if it comes up. On to traps. You only play 3 archetypal traps, and that's it. You can find space for other cards if you want. You play 2 boss fight. This basically just gets you your field spell from deck or grave, and then forces your opponent to draw, which means it'll immediately trigger the boss stage at the resolution of this card. So, it's pretty good.
It's always one of those really good cards.
Yep. And then the final card I have itself that I do like is just Boss Room. So what this does is, when you activate it, when your opponent chains a card to the activation of any of your generator cards, you discard a card out of your hand, and then you change the effect of the card they activated to both players draw a card. Which means, if you didn't have a way, if your opponent stopped the boss stage the first time, because neither one of its effects, if they get negated, it can still do one or the other. So if they ash you, the special, then that's kind of out of the water, but you won't get the tokens. But if they add another card, you can still attempt to get the tokens. And that's what you want half the time, because those tokens will protect you. So they'll kind of hold the fort for you real well, especially if you have Lobster, they become 2,500 tokens.
Oh, yeah.
That ain't the easiest thing to, 2,500 monsters ain't the easiest thing to run over by any means.
And then Lobster can just tag one out.
And tags them out. On to the extra deck. I don't have a side for this. Lol. Hey man, don't play this deck if you don't got these tokens. You will look like the biggest fool if you start summoning tokens and they're not the generator tokens. That's what they were made for. Got the 4, you can only ever get 4 at once. We're playing 1 fusion, and that's just unironically just Intess for Diviner if you want to use that route just to pop a problematic card.
Yeah.
And then the new card. First off, we have Leviathan. This card's crazy. So what it does is you contribute it for cost to summon a non-fairy XYZ from your extra deck. And then when you summon that monster, you can equip attached material on the field or either graveyard, either player's field and graveyard, to it equal to its material. This thing can take multiple level 9s, not just 2. So this thing is basically a non-targeting snatch steal for when you summon the next card on the list. Also, it Domisher, all your opponent's monsters lose 1,000 attack, actually. That's its main effect. And that alone is already really strong. But the card you summon off of Leviathan is the main boss monster, Jormungandr himself. So this guy is a fucking just a whole thing. So first off, he gains 1,000 attack for every material he's got. Secondly, quick effect during either player's turn. You can detach material, make both players draw a card, and then both players have to take one card out of their hand and put it underneath him as material.
This card's always been ridiculous.
This card is so good, just locked under a really hard paywall of getting specific things. But Leviathan makes it even better because it's like you let your opponent make a board state, and then you just start yanking cards away from them. And probably the best thing to do in this entire game, other than putting something back into the deck, is slotting it under an XYZ monster, because you will never get that material back until they give it to you. And that is what is just so insane. And this card can get, don't underestimate how big this card can get in the course of 2 turns. This guy can easily hit 5,000 in 1 turn, like easy. Like I think the lowest I ever got him just actually doing, he will always be at minimum 3,000. And he'll only ever just continue to get bigger.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And then after this, a lot of it's just standard extra deck bulk. I'm playing Exoblafnir. This card actually will come up a lot. This is a non-targeting banish. Abramax, Dragoons, goodbye. He detach, rip a card out of their hand. Detach, banish a card out of their graveyard. This card banishes pretty much everything, and it's all non-targeting. It's pretty good. Next, we have Earth Slicer. You can make him with multiple materials, detach, pop a bunch of different cards at once. One of the coolest things about this deck in its entirety, some of the monsters are huge. Like, sometimes you only need 3 monsters on field to just outright OTK your opponent. And big monster, Gopher, will always be the best way to win a game. And then one of the small interactions in this deck, which can come up, is play for Lynx is Lib. You can't summon her unless you specifically have a World Legacy card in your graveyard. Hey.
Hey, look.
Hey,
Monstrosity.
We got those.
Oh, wow. It's like it was made for it.
So its effect enables you to, her main effect is you just, after you summon her, you can just set any World Legacy from your deck. So you can set a Monstrosity for follow-up to keep playing. Her other effect is when she herself is linked away, she's a non-targeting bounce. She spins anything back into the deck when she's linked off. Which that'll come up a lot more than you would ever think, and it's always an option to remove problematic cards. I think this is an unconditional card, so it's not gonna. Let's go play 1 Cerberus, 1 IP. And then for the last of the rank 2s, I played, just because it's a solid card, GENERAIDER Transverser. I actually do like this card a lot. I played this during Dry Tome format a lot, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think it's a really good card. Whatever it points to is untargetable. And then 2 cards, it points to 2 cards, it swaps them. Good question. Last 2 cards, Apollo. Apollo's Apollo. And then last card that is Underworld Goddess. Pairs with the, what's her name? IP. And that's about it. Combos, there's not really combos or anything like that. Like, shit, believe it or not, their best combos, activate field spell, pass. Like that alone, the sheer amount of pressure this field spell puts onto your opponent is insane. Putting out an Omni Negate that's going to rip a card out of their hand, or like your best inboard is Har with Leviathan. Like that is surprisingly annoying to deal with, because they're going to have 3 big monsters, and they're just going to yoink a bunch of your materials. They're going to Omni Negate something. They're going to rip a card out of your hand. Like that's a lot of pressure on some huge monsters. And then when you just pass over, this deck can easily just OTK you on a follow-up, not only needing to summon 1 card.
Thought about playing Skill Drain in the side?
You can, yeah. A lot of these effects don't matter. Kind of the reason why Blue Eyes was so cool is because Skill Drain go burr, and when you take away monster effects, the only thing that matters is whose number is bigger, and most of the time it'll be these guys.
Don't they also tribute for cost?
Yes, they do tribute the tokens or themselves for cost. So it's really hard to hit them with targeting effects.
Yeah.
And that's about the best I got for it.
Well, thank you. Shout out to Greg making cash.
Let's go.
Peace out.